Now, since Maeve Binchy blazed the trail in the 1980s, a host of talented Irish writers have followed in her wake, establishing themselves as major brand names in Ireland, in the UK and in international publishing. Theirs are the books that bring so much pleasure to so many, and this has always been an extremely competitive category. So to present the International Education Service's Popular Fiction Book of the Year award, please welcome broadcaster Joe Duffy along with Jonathan Tracy, General Manager of International Education Services.
So let us look at the 6 titles, and in looking at the 6 titles, they could be, even though they are fiction, they could be in their titles the history of Ireland in the last 3 years. Kathy Kelly's The Honey Queen, that's Angela Merkel. She came to Claudia Carroll's Me and You, to say, in Sinead Moriarty's line, we're mad about you. And then in Patricia Scanlon's With All My Love, said Angela, I want, using Melissa Hill's title, to give you a gift to remember, and that is living in Ross O'Carroll Kelly's Downturn Abbey. The nominations for the International Educational Services Popular Book of the Year are
Downturn Abbey, Ross O'Carroll Kelly, Penguin Ireland. Mad About You, Sinead Moriarty, Penguin Ireland. Me and You, Claudia Carroll, Avon Books. The Honey Queen, Kathy Kelly, HarperCollins. With All My Love, Patricia Scanlon, Simon & Schuster. A Gift to Remember, Melissa Hill, Simon & Schuster.
And the winner is, oh my God, a victory for Castle Rock at last. Foxtrot, Killiney, Ross O'Carroll Kelly for Downturn Abbey.
Thank you very much. It hasn't been a very good few days for the greatest out half ever to play for Ireland. But for the greatest out half never to play for Ireland, things have suddenly got a little bit better. This is very unexpected. I honestly didn't expect this. There's some terrific books on the shortlist. I'd like to thank my lovely wife, Mary, and everybody who voted for me as well. Thank you very much.
Well, Howard, congratulations.
Thanks very much, John.
I know you said in the past about overhearing conversations on the bus or on the Dart. Does that still form a big part of your search when it comes to...
Yeah, it does. I mean, I suppose the early books were almost completely based on conversations I overheard on the 46A, the Dort, or sometimes I would go to Kylie's. When I was writing the column originally for the Sunday Tribune, if on a Friday evening I didn't know what was going to be in Sunday's column, I would just go and spend an hour sitting on a bar stool in Kylie's, and I would overhear something and think, that's going in the column this week. So yeah, but I suppose now the extra dimension is social networking. Ross has a Twitter presence and a Facebook presence, and I suppose I don't really need to go and hear the conversations on buses. I don't need to eavesdrop as much anymore. It kind of comes to me. People volunteer things that happen in their lives to me, and they say, I said this yesterday and I just caught myself and I thought, what a Ross O'Carroll Kelly moment. Why don't you put this in your next book? And I gratefully receive all of those things.
So at this stage of proceedings, are you looking at the possibility that this series may be endless, or have you in the back of your mind, no, I have to put them to bed?
I think I'm definitely not going to do more than 100. I would say I'll probably
well, that'll be a great relief to his fans.
Yeah, the century just seems like a nice.
Okay. Well, Paul, congratulations again.
Thanks very much, John.
I'm sure you'll continue to churn them out, and that they'll continue to entertain people long into the future.
Thanks a lot, John.
Well, for the people of this nation, the past is always alive, which perhaps explains our love of history and biography. From the famine and the Civil War to the economic collapse, from growing up in inner-city Dublin to faith, fatherhood, poverty and success, the books shortlisted this year embrace a truly wide spectrum of Irish experience. And to present the National Book Tokens Non-Fiction Book of the Year Award, please welcome Dublin City Librarian Margaret Hayes and Alex de Berry, Managing Director of National Book Tokens.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure to present the National Book Tokens Non-Fiction Book of the Year Award. And remember, a book token is not just for Christmas. Well, the shortlist for the National Book Tokens Non-Fiction Book of the Year is
The Rocky Road, Eamon Dunphy, Penguin Ireland. Fatal Path, Ronan Fanning, Faber and Faber. Growing Up So High, Sean O'Connor, Hachette Ireland. Staring at Lakes, Michael Harding, Hachette Ireland. The Famine Plot, Tim Pat Coogan, Palgrave Macmillan. And The Price of Power, Inside Ireland's Crisis Coalition, Pat Leahy, Penguin Ireland.
And the winner is Michael Harding for Staring at Lakes.
Now, the prostate, I have to tell you about it now. I'd like to thank the nurses that put in the tube. And the fellow who drove the JCB in under the tunnel to scoop it out. I write about small things like prostates, although my prostate was big. It was the size of an orange. And they got it smaller and then I'm better again. So that's the whole story. The other story, though, is, apart from the fact that I'm deeply again honoured to be selected from a shortlist of such excellent books and such wonderful books, and I do feel humble about that. I would also like to, for a moment, own the award, because I've spent 30 years telling stories in plays or in books. I've told stories about the secrets in the church, and I've told stories about secrets in paramilitaries in the north. And I feel deeply that things like people are silenced all the time. I think of Pussy Riot at the moment, that double act, and so many other people down through history. And the power of telling stories is wonderful. And RTE and all the television stations in Ireland have done a powerful job over 30 or 40 years. You know, there's people who are no longer with us, who are making programmes, and they will be remembered too for 50, 60 years as great storytellers. Because the powerful story really is your own story. In the sense, your own story is a fiction. I believe memoir is just as much a fictional, beautiful art form as it was in Proust's time. And I find that as you get older, you don't just tell stories that are big stories, but you find these small little things. Like, I have two cats, Ronnie and Roxy, based on the EastEnder characters, and one of them died. Ronnie died. And Roxy is depressed. No, she really is. And that's a very small thing. And I know, like, even on a serious small thing, but I remember when my mother was dying, and she could barely breathe, we couldn't take fluids or liquids, but she'd love a little bit of aero. The nurse would give her a little bit of aero on her tongue, and she'd suck it, and she got pleasure out of that. And those tiny little small things, as I've got older, I've found there's a huge spirit in them. There's a huge sense of us in those small things. And it's such a privilege to write about them. And it's an extraordinary privilege to be among the great writers in this room and to be honoured like this. So thank you so much.
Well, now in its second year, the Avonmore Cookbook of the Year category is one that is becoming more and more popular. Our appetite for cookbooks seems to know no bounds. Whether we're actually any better at cooking is still up for debate, but at least we now know what we're aiming for. And the nominees here are all household names. To present this award, I would like to invite columnist and host of the Saturday Night Show, Brendan O'Connor, along with Ethna O'Hara, marketing manager of Avonmore, to the stage.
These books are more important than all the rest of your important books put together, because genuinely a good cookbook tells stories of love and lust and desire. It does, I'm not joking. Love and lust and desire, and I suppose ambition and aspiration, and then ultimately disappointment, failing to reach your potential. It tells, this was meant to be my deep bit, thanks for that. It tells stories of family, it tells stories of friends, it tells stories of lovers, it tells stories of old friends, it tells stories of friends who've fallen out, and I think a cookbook tells stories of nostalgia, and I think it tells stories of the exotic. Genuinely, I think a much-loved cookbook can be the story of your life. So, it's time we heard about this year's nominations for the Avonmore Cookbook of the Year.
The nation's favourite food, Nevin Maguire, Gillan Macmillan. Kevin Dundon's modern Irish food, Kevin Dundon, Mitchell Beasley. Chapter 1, Ross Lewis, Gillan Macmillan. 30 years at Ballymaloe, Darina Allen, Kyle Books. Rachel's Everyday Kitchen, Rachel Allen, Hopper Non-Fiction. And The Weekend Chef, Catherine Fulvio, Gillan Macmillan.
Before I say who the winner is, can I just tell you a story? You take a young girl into your house and you teach her how to cook, and you give her your son, and she still has the nerve to come up against you in a book competition. But you know what? You whip her ass. Darina Allen for 30 years at Ballymaloe.
Thank you, Brendan, first and foremost, for that soliloquy to a cookbook and to cookbook authors and how much they mean. It was such a thrill to be shortlisted anyway, but also that Rachel was also shortlisted, and another of our babies, one of our past students, Catherine Fulvio, as well. So I'm so proud of all of you. It was wonderful to be in the same company. And also I want to pay tribute to all the other shortlisted cookbook authors who have shared their recipes so generously, and because in a way cooking is such an important skill, it's lost in so many places. And a big tribute to those of you who share your recipes, share your skills and pass them on to other people. And thank you very much.
Darina Allen, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I hope you don't mind me calling you the mother figure of a whole generation of Irish.
The granny, the matriarch.
But do you see yourself in that way, that you were a trailblazer? This book is, after all, about 30 years at Ballymaloe. Well, that at a time when you know, Irish food was, I won't say frowned on, but wasn't as fashionable as it is now.
Well, it was fantastic to get the opportunity actually to do the Simply Delicious programmes originally, and then to write a book with it. And you know, it just seemed to, in a way, I think because my food is so simple, and I really wanted people to be able to cook after the programmes. I think it, in many ways, it did really actually touch people's lives, and you can do that with a recipe. You can, you know, give people, it's almost like giving people a gift, and you teach them how to make a loaf of bread or some soup or something. It's something that's going to, it can actually enhance the quality of their lives. So that's. And
what's at the centre, do you think, of the success of Ballymaloe over the years?
Well, in a way that we're really lucky, because the cooking school is in the middle of a farm, an organic farm and garden. So literally the students can learn how the food is produced from the field to the fork. And that nowadays people are craving that in a way. They really want to touch and to discover exactly how things are produced, because we've lost contact with all of that.
Well, Darina, congratulations. Many happy years in the future. in Ballymaloe.
Thank you very much.
Well, now to the oldest, indeed the original award of the Irish Book Awards, the Eason Novel of the Year. The shortlist this year is a wonderful illustration of the continuing power of the contemporary Irish novel, and it brings together both established writers and first-time nominees. To present this award, please welcome broadcaster, ex-Dragon and the CEO of Harmonia Publishing, Nora Casey, along with Eason's Group Head of Trading, Keith Butler.
Thank you. I'm delighted to announce the nominees for the Eason's Novel of the Year for all sorts of reasons. One, even though I do broadcast and I dabble in social media, my first love is words. I trained as a journalist. I was a writer, a news reporter and editor. In London, I published newspapers, academic journals, books. I married a man who spent his whole life loving English literature. So for all those reasons, I'm honoured to introduce to you the giants, my heroes, the writers, who together form this year's nominees for the Eason Novel of the Year Award.
Arimathea, Frank McGuinness. Brandon Books. The Thing About December, Donal Ryan. Doubleday Ireland, Lilliput. The Things We Know Now, Catherine Dunn. Pan Macmillan. Transatlantic, Colin McCann. Bloomsbury Publishing. This Is the Way, Gavin Corbett. Fourth Estate. And The Guts, Roddy Doyle, Jonathan Cape.
And the winner is Roddy Doyle for The Guts.
Thank you very much. I wasn't expecting this at all, and I've nothing really prepared. Just to thank everybody involved in getting the book from my laptop onto the shelves and for getting it out of the bookshops. I deeply appreciate it. I think it was my 10th novel, and it's as big a thrill as the first one ever was. I went back to the characters that I wrote about in my first novel, The Commitments, for this book, back to them in middle age. And the characters in the Rabbit family, small things are often an event. You know, the dinner, a pint. Little things are big events in the day. And it's only actually very recently that I realised that I got that from my father. My mother too, but, you know, because the characters in those books are largely male, it's my father. So everything, you know, when I grew up, and even today, it was an event. You know, a little delight. And even, you know, he described having the news that he had to have a full body scan. He described it to us as, they're shoving me up a tunnel. And the information by itself was never enough. There had to be elbows on it, so to speak. And it's only, as I said, it's only relatively recently that I realised I got so much from him. And he's 90 next week, so I'm going to give him this. And he can shove it wherever he wants, really. And it'll save me the bother of having to buy him something, which is great. So thank you very much.
Roddy Doyle, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
On winning the Eason Novel of the Year award. So in some ways then, is there a bit of autobiography in here?
Not really, no.
Reflections at this stage of your life?
State of mind, really, attitudes perhaps, anxieties, pride in children, the love of having a child, even the love of a dog. You know, things like that go in, but it's not autobiographical, no. And there isn't a book in me, to be honest with you. It's a very dull existence.
What's next? I presume you're delighted with the success of The Commitments, the musical.
Yeah, that was an extraordinary experience to be actually involved in that and to watch it being built. It was like the book, the script is like the foundation, and then I sat back and watched other people build a house on top of it, and they did a good job. You know, it's a nice house. Yeah. So that was an amazing experience. But at the moment I'm working on what I hope will be a television series. But
what will that be about?
I'm not telling you.
No.
When I start talking about work that isn't finished at all, because to fall apart in front of my eyes.
But presumably, given that it's a series, it would be a drama series.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when can we hope to see that, Roddy?
When people agreed to give the production company money to make it.
I see.
And the word I didn't put in there, I think, is if people agree to.
But,
so it's
yeah, that'll keep you going for a few months.
That'll keep me going for longer.
Up in your loft on your own.
Yeah.
Being antisocial.
Absolutely. It's the only way to go.
Well, Roddy, congratulations. Continued success.
Thank you.
We're coming now to our final, very special award, the Bob Hughes Lifetime Achievement Award, which honours the great careers in Irish writing. Tonight's recipient is joining an illustrious roll call of previous winners. Winners which include John McGahern, William Trevor, Edna O'Brien, Maeve Binchy, Jennifer Johnston and, of course, Seamus Heaney. And to present the Bob Hughes Lifetime Achievement Award, will you please welcome award-winning actor Sinead Cusack.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here on this very auspicious occasion. So I'm really delighted to be here, and I'm thrilled to announce that the winner of the Bob Hughes Lifetime Achievement Award for 2013 is John Banville. But before we present the award, we should hear a little from his fans and friends.
One of the great pleasures of reading John Banville is one has to savour every single sentence, every single phrase, because it's so beautiful.
He pays the same kind of attention to the cadences of a line that a poet does.
When I read John's prose, it's like listening to music.
John has always been a maverick, and I think he's doing something that almost nobody else is doing. He's not interested in narrative in the way that most novelists are. He's not a storyteller, he's a prose stylist of genius.
One of the hallmarks of his style for me is this laconic humour and the fact that he moves between that European absurdity, the theatre absurd, the Beckett. There's tremendous comic timing in his work. There's also Nabokov's elegance.
He cares deeply about the work, but those who care about the work, he then cares about them as well, all of them. As a literary editor, he was very good at helping and identifying young upcoming Irish writers. He was very thoughtful about all the publishing areas, the jacket, sales, marketing, publicity.
The first time he was shortlisted for the Book of Evidence, it was the beginning, I think, of him being taken seriously as a writer.
When he sent me the manuscript of The Sea, he said, here's another dreary book as a kind of joke, that won't sell much. Of course, thankfully, it proved otherwise.
But then when he finally did win, I think it was more than anything else a relief to have just got it out of the way.
John is extremely critical of his own material, to the point where he does not allow me to send him reviews. He is very critical. They're I think unreasonably so, because it's such great work.
He's very visual. He's got a very strong sense of art history, as well as music. It's no coincidence that his narrators are kind of art historians.
They're very moving books. They're intensely powerful. They make you think about the human condition in a variety of ways. I think they're books that inevitably will last for many, many generations to come.
When I took on John, he asked me if I would make him some money. So I had an idea. I said, tell me, John, do you ever read thrillers? And he said, I know why you asked me if I would like to read thrillers. You want me to write thrillers, don't you? And I said, yes, I do. And I want you to write them under an open pseudonym. I said, what do you want to call yourself? And he said, Benjamin White, the name of one of the characters in his early books. I said, no, John, you're writing thrillers. You're going to be Benjamin Black. And so it was.
John feels that Benjamin Black is always at his shoulder, and occasionally he finds himself having his pen taken by Benjamin Black, and he suddenly is writing a Benjamin Black sentence, not a John Banville sentence.
It's the deceptive pace in John Banville's work. The mind is working fast. His narrators are usually in a hurry. Or in fact, if they're not so much in a hurry, they're more like in a panic. But it's a controlled panic, because it's the sensibility. It's very intellectual fiction, but it's very, very funny.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the Lifetime Achievement winner, John Banville.
I see what you mean, Roddy. This is kind of dangerous implement. Not very long ago, I heard that Olivia O'Leary was trying to contact me because she was planning a series of programs on BBC Radio, talking to people about how they dealt with getting old. And I assumed that she was calling me to ask me who she should speak to, name a few people. And then suddenly it occurred to me that she wanted to talk to me. This is a great shock. I had the same feeling when I heard that I was getting this wonderful award. I thought, how can this possibly be? I'm still 43, as I will be on my deathbed. It's a wonderful award. One is given the odd prize abroad, but it's very nice to be given one at home, to be recognised at home. It's late at night, we're all tired, so I'll be very brief. If I started to thank people, we'd be here all night. But I must just mention my family. Writers are constantly whinging and whining about how difficult their life is, but people very rarely mention people around them who have had to put up with them and their horrible moods and their impossibilities over the years. So I would dedicate this to my family, to my loved ones. Thank you.
I'd like to remind you once again that you can vote for your favourite book of the year from the shortlisted winners tonight. Simply log on to irishbookawards.ie and vote before midnight Thursday the 5th of December to select the overall Bord Gáis Energy Book of the Year. The winner will be announced the following day on The John Murray Show. Other winners tonight included...
And the winner of The John Murray Show Listener's Choice is Michael Harding for Staring at Lakes.
I'll just thank two people. Ciara Doorley at Hachette. And the other is my beloved companion for life, Catherine Carman. Thank you.
And the winner of the Sunday Independent Newcomer of the Year Award is Niamh Boyce for The Herbalist.
I suppose to thank the voters and the judges and my agent, Ger Nichols, and Penguin Ireland, especially Patricia Deavy, who's an amazing editor.
The Specsavers Children's Book of the Year.
And the winner is Benji Bennett for When You Were Born. Congratulations.
I have been dying to get my hands on this because there's such a special place. Next, we have to go.
The Writing.ie Short Story of the Year Award.
The winner is Billy O'Callaghan.
It's my sister's birthday today. She's 22. Her name is Irene, so if this is on RT, she'll be delighted to...
The Clifton Bookshop was the winner of this year's Bord Gáis Energy Bookshop of the Year. Proprietors Moira O'Halloran and Nicole Shanahan.
I'm afraid we're not going to be as humble or as modest as Mr. Landy earlier, because Nicole and I are absolutely thrilled and delighted that we're up here this evening.
My sincere congratulations to all of tonight's winners, but also to all of the writers who have been shortlisted for this year's awards. From myself, Keelan Shanley, thank you for being with us this evening. We look forward to seeing you again in 2014.
And of course, thank you, the audience and all the readers who have journeyed with us through this year's Book Awards. So from me, John Murray, good night.